one of the criticisms that we have found in just living in the Title IX world and sport is that it's hard to enforce, and it hasn't been enforced. Where have you found the biggest challenge in that as you live in this world?
Well, let me say it's our honor and pleasure to enforce this law, and it is the most transformative federal civil rights law with respect to sex that we have for schools and school. And it has been an enormous privilege to make sure that 3 million more girls have access to high school athletics, just as one example, in the time since Title IX became law. It's hard always to enforce civil rights laws. There's new students who are in school every day, every year. There are new challenges that could come up in schools, and there's lots of ways to find to discriminate, it turns out. So we are hard at work every day, all the time, in my office, at the Office for Civil Rights, at the Department of Justice, and across the country, because students and communities can enforce the law themselves as well. So
yeah, who does, and how does it happen where you're alerted of compliance violations by universities or schools? Because it is high school as well. We have high schoolers here.
Yep.
Yeah, so how are you alerted, and how's that process? How does it work?
Families sometimes complain to us. Anyone can bring a concern to us about a legal violation. And when we hear that the law may have been violated, we investigate. That means we go on campus, we interview school communities about what's happening. We take a look at locker rooms to make sure that they're equal. We comb through school spending and comb through school records to make sure that discrimination doesn't occur, and if it does, then to work with school communities to make sure they come.
Generally, government is overworked, right? You guys work tirelessly, but where could you be doing a better job, do you think?
Well, I would always like to have more people. You know, I'm very proud of the work that we do. I think that my team is truly excellent, but we have 400 investigators, and we have 15,000 complaints that come into us every year. So the caseload is obscene for our staff, and the work deserves careful attention. It's not simple to evaluate whether the law is complied with.
You were in this role, you went away from it, your return was celebrated. What perspective did you learn when you came back into this office, and how you could do a better job?
Well, I'm hoping I'm doing about the same job, you know, and I'm delighted to come back. It's the work that I love. This is the work that I think is most important in the country, to make sure that students' rights are fully protected. And what I know is that the ways that people find to discriminate are legion, shocking. Sometimes are the things that you expect, you know, to look for, and there's things that you have no idea that somebody might do to another person. So, you know, we want to make sure that we are there for every student, every day, in every state. In a recent USA Today article specifically about sport, they said they found that most universities thought they were in compliance with Title IX, but shocking to them, they were not. So why is this happening? Why are universities thinking that they're in compliance, and then very few actually are? Well, let me say the following. Very few people say that they're not in compliance with the law when asked, right? So, you know, many of us speed, and we don't usually acknowledge it. So, so there is that challenge in the world, and the distance that we have to travel as a country in actually making good on Congress' now 50-year-old promise with respect to sex discrimination is pretty stark, and that's distressing. And it's also worth really recognizing the enormous gains that we have made as a country and the increase in equality. But what Congress promised in the law is that no person shall be discriminated against. So every year there are new opportunities to make sure that no person has his or her rights violated.